My life has changed. That's all I'm saying. My mind is you listen. Look, I sent you how you seen how I was rolling Lucky yesterday on the bike.
I saw the beginning, but I didn't track it all the way through.
But did you caught a little bit of it though?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Hey, I haven't felt. I mean, just applying the truth and the information and just, uh, you know, waking up and saying instead of waking up and seeing.
Yes.
You know, everything I asked for and said to myself happened yesterday.
Yes, sir.
I mean, when I got here, I mean, first of all, I had no anxiety, no tingling, no nothing to the point where I was looking for it. Ain't that a trip? I was
Yeah.
like, wait, what's going on? Like this ain't right. So when I started pushing it, and I had two of my club members behind me, and they looking like, damn, Young Buck is rolling today. I was hitting, boom, boom. I'm hitting corners at 80, 85, leaning. Ooh, boom. Oh man, I'm just so excited. Then I got here and I already experienced. I said, when I get there, everybody's gonna be happy to see me. This and this and that. Man, when I got here, man, and you know, we don't even drink. Hey, Young Buck, let me get you a drink. Oh, no. This is that. It was just, I mean, so many awesome things happened as they're gonna continue to happen. And now the most important thing is to that that it's not by chance. You know the equation. You know what to do. So it's just amazing, man. So I wanted to share that with you guys, man, because again, as you keep getting these confirmations, and you just get so excited, man. I'm just so excited, man. I don't even. Oh man, it's just amazing. So I'm happy. I got my boy, and it's so funny, you know, all three of us, you know, we listen to everybody and all that kind of good stuff, and they're talking, and we know what we're believing for and all that stuff. My boy Kickback, who's doing Jump On, he called me this morning at 4:30. He texted me. He said, "Young Buck, I got to talk to you. I got to talk to you. I want to open up a daycare." I said, "Okay." So I called him at 4:30 in the morning because you know I wasn't asleep because these niggas had me up all night. He said, "Hey man, I want to make you a millionaire." He said, "I got this business idea and I want to open up the day. I want to make you a millionaire." I said, "Okay, let's do it."
Yes. Yeah.
So it was just a trip, man. So I just wanted to share that. I know that people are getting on, but I wanted to share that at 6:45 so you can ask people what's going on. But
Marcus,
you know, yes.
you know I'm all about private jets and yachts. That's the goal.
Oh, you already know. If I got it, you got it. Well, we know who's not cooking. We know that.
Listen, I haven't been cooking. We've been empty nesting, so I haven't been cooking either.
Enjoying life. That's it.
Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Kari, Gerardo, welcome.
Good morning.
Morning. Glad to see you guys.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'll turn on my video in just a second.
Yes, sir. No worries. It's time for anybody if they want to share anything or ask anything. Good news. Marcus was sharing some of his good news. So, you know, we're just going to be coming on a little bit earlier. Eventually, in about a week or two, it'll be 6:30 so that we have about a good half hour if anybody just wants to share, you know, some good news, wants to share something that they have learned or, you know, grown into or experienced that they're happy about. So, you know, we're going to start opening up earlier and earlier for that before the 7 o'clock starts. So anything you guys want to say or ask or anything like that, now's the time.
That's a good thing I'm over here on the East Coast and I can wake up a little bit later.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm up. I'm up.
Oh, I'm up too. I'm not active with people. I'm up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, but I don't need nobody to be on Zoom with me at 5 o'clock in the morning though.
Yeah, yes, sir. Need your own private time. I understand it. Yes, I understand it.
We have a new member, Natalia. Welcome, Natalia.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning.
Yeah, there you go. Good morning, sunshine.
Hey, Justin.
Beto, Coach Lucky in the house. What's going on?
Man, Justin, what's up, man? What's up with it?
Oh man, I'm having Man, honestly, bro, having an amazing, it's a new season for me. Me and my family, we just moved.
Okay.
So, we upgraded the quality of our living and, it feels so good, man.
Hey, man, save a spot for me. Leave the light on for me.
I got you. Got you. Come get a Philly steak real quick.
And congratulations.
Congratulations.
To you and your wife.
Yeah, congratulations.
With your new journey. I'm excited for you guys. I need to hit you up actually on something else. So I'll hit you up later.
For sure. You already know, sis, we tapped in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So if anybody has any questions, anyone want to share any wins, we're opening it up early so that we can kind of have this time to just have like, more casual chat type thing before Coach Lucky gets fired up and and everything gets lit.
Yeah, on a personal note, this past week, I've just been, I have this AI art account just because that's what I do in my free time to just kind of keep myself sane, is just do some art. And it's been going really well. I've actually been able to connect with a lot of like-minded artists and be able to share work. And that's been going really good. I've had a couple of collaborations that I've done with other artists. And it seems like whenever I get that personal connection with an artist, because I comment on a lot of people's stuff and whatever else, but it seems like whenever I actually make a connection with somebody, it's been a really divine connection. Either we'll have very like minds, or it'll be a really good connection for some business. Like I met this other girl who does some artwork, and we're already sharing projects back and forth together. Like I got a big app project I'm gonna be working with her on. She found another project that she's brought to me, and it's just like it's feeling great. The other day I was in the gym and I saw this guy. I'm a corporate partner for Crunch Gyms. Like they advertise my stuff, right? And so I'm there and I see this guy and he's got a shirt. It has the Crunch logo, but then it's got his logo on it too. And I was like, I walked up to him, I was like, hey, did they make that shirt for you? Because I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, where's mine? Right? Like I paid for this stuff too. Where's my shirt? Right? And he's like, no, I made this myself. So we started talking, and it turns out this guy's into real estate, and he's got all these different connections, all these things that he does. He does music and other things too. And I was like, here we go again. It's another time where I stepped out to try to just talk to somebody about something, and it turns out that we're really good connections for each other. So I'm just really thankful of the connections that have been made over this past week. That's the main point of my rant right there. So yeah.
Yes, sir. There you go. Really good work. Yes, sir.
I got a question for you though, and
yes,
right up. Oh, Van, a perfect time you put that fire up, because I'm about to light a fire under your ass real quick. What's up with the Lanes of Mastery YouTube channel?
Oh, we're getting it. Okay. The producer was actually on it yesterday, and I'm getting some stuff done. We're still getting like some of the like the details, like the intro song, and
Okay. It's all good. If you're taking time to make it good with all that production stuff, then take your time, do what you need to do. I'm just anxious. That's all. So.
You know what? It's been on my mind. Coach Lucky knows, like it's been on my mind. I need to get it out. So this weekend I'm dedicating actually some like good time for that.
Sweet. Okay.
And then another thing that happened was the service we were using only has a limited amount of hours. So we met with, man, in 2 weeks, man, we interviewed what it was about
10.
Was it?
Wow.
It was at least 10 people, at least. Like, nice. And those are all like an hour and a half, kind of like yours, almost 2 hours at a time. So what happened was this service only had a limited amount of hours. So then after that, you had to contact them, and then they wanted to, I guess, upsell you on whatever else was next. So when we hit them up, we had to wait for them to get back to us, and we couldn't record anymore on the service until they did. So that they got back to us maybe about 4 days, maybe about 4 days later. Mm-hmm. So then by the time we talked to them and then figured out what we were going to do next, it was like Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I think your audience might not have a problem with you guys using Zoom. I've seen plenty of Zoom podcasts out there, just as good, So if you run into any more problems with that other company, I would say just go ahead and use Zoom, man. Nobody's gonna trip that is Zoom. The content is good enough to get past the fact that it's Zoom.
Okay.
This
Okay.
one has like an editing tool in it, and that's what I'm also
Okay.
my learning journey.
Okay.
But yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Oh, you know, it's coming, man.
We're making clips for you guys, so you can
Yeah.
have your own clips.
I was gonna say on that note, I might have sent it to you. There's an AI tool that you can just upload your video. It will make clips. It will make short captions. It does all that content creation just from analyzing your video.
Send me the one you have. I've used 2 different ones already, but I'm all about that. So send me the one you have. So we can,
Okay.
actually, I just realized I might have to hit you up also on my other thing that I'm hitting Justin up for. So I'll be talking.
What we talking about? We talking about AI video editing? Yes,
Yeah.
let's go. What do you use?
Well, you have to ask her. I sent her one. For most of the stuff, I do a lot of my own editing myself. But I need to start doing more caption and stuff like that. Right now, all I've been doing mainly is asking ChatGPT to write content for me and give me titles and stuff like that, because it's like having an assistant that'll do something for you in 5 seconds. You know, it's just really fast.
Yeah, me and Vero been on ChatGPT through Jasper last summer, huh, Vero?
Yeah, yeah.
You ever tried Video.ai?
Yeah.
That's the one I'm using.
Yeah, that's fire. Yeah, you only got to create long form content and then polish up the whatever it does. That's what I have my VA do. Like her task is just, polishing up the videos that I toss in there.
Right.
I have to get my VA on something like that. Yeah.
It'll save you a bunch of time and money.
Task. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm really excited about you guys' wins. Everybody's, feeling the transitions and like, just kind of feeling the difference it makes when you start changing how you think. And I think it's so awesome to see everyone winning and see everyone so excited and happy about their lives and the things that are transpiring in their lives, because it just proves to you all you had to do is change how you think, right? And you experience something different. So I think that's awesome. I just want to say kudos to you guys. Applaud, finger snaps, all of that. I'm really excited. I'm really proud of everyone. Really, really, really excited about it.
On that note, I'm literally right now, there's this an app called CapCut. I don't really like it all that much because it's anyway, I have my complaints about it. But what it's doing right now with some of the artwork I did is it's analyzing it, and it's about to do all the cutting and editing. Oops, it has music I don't like. But anyway, it's doing the work for me. Right now I'm supposed to be putting together a little clip for this artist I did a collaboration with. And I just threw 3 pictures of it of my stuff in there and said, hey, make a clip for me. And it just did it. So I'll send you a link to this one too. It's pretty cool.
Yes, please.
And yeah, well, let me say this real quick too, before we transition in a couple minutes while we're all here. It's good that all of you guys are here. And we like everybody, love everybody. We're not sponsoring anybody. Saying that to say though, that you guys talk to each other. Like Justin knows a whole bunch of video editing. He runs his whole situation, doing all the stuff he does. So, and Kari does so many things, and so many of you guys do so many things. So when you guys are on here, hit each other up, talk to each other. I mean, shoot, everybody's doing marketing and merchandising and advertising. And you may be sitting next to somebody right now that you guys can just hit up on a quick chat or whatever. So anyway, just saying that to say, hit each other up, use each other, talk to each other, collaborate.
Yes.
You can get that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes. Got 1 minute to go.
Yeah, we get started. So we're gonna get started in a minute. But yeah, if there's anything else anybody has real quick before we hit that gas, seatbelt.
Hey, good morning, Lucky. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Vero.
Yes, sir.
It's Gerardo.
Yes,
What's
sir.
going on? I hope everybody's having a blissful morning. I want to say real quick, man, we should all be boosting each other on social media.
Yeah.
Let's all follow each other. Make sure that we sending each other tags and stuff like that, man.
I agree.
Especially let's get Lucky to 10,000 followers.
Hey, Gerardo was my first DM ever. I was like, what is this? How do you get on here? Because I've been doing this for a while, but I've never done it publicly, I guess as far as through the social media space. So I was like, I was hitting buttons, calling the cat. And I didn't even know what. Oh man, I was looking so bad, man. But yeah, man, you guys are right. Let's all, just help each other, be whatever it is, we want to be. Ain't nobody better than us. In my best English, nobody better than us to help each other.
I think what helps then is I'll make a Facebook page for the Mental Academy just to have the community space. And that way you guys can all network, and as we get new folks, everyone can kind of just be there and network. So I think that'll be something we can get going. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because real talk, my game is trash on there, y'all. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm on there like a man, it ain't good. So
yeah, social media managers right here.
Yeah, it ain't me.
I got something, Vero. I got something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So my wife, she's actually taking a real estate exam at the end of the month. And I did not see this coming. I didn't even think my marriage was gonna make it, man. Talk about mindset. Vero, personally, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how Protect Your Peace was formed, being in a real ugly, dark place. It just feels so good and beautiful to be out of that season. And like, my marriage is at a place it never been, and it's new. And we're just basking in it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just, I'm grateful for you, Coach Lucky, because even just having access to you through Vero, is like I'd been on that type time through her. So you're discipling her right.
Oh man, well then we're all happy for you, man. We're all happy for each other.
Yeah, for sure.
It's wonderful, man. That is awesome, brother. That is awesome.
Love is a beautiful thing, man. And relationships are hard. So if you sticking it out and making it work, man, more kudos and congrats to you both. Straight up.
Cheers. Yes, sir. Yeah, 10 push-ups for you, brother. Yes. All right, we're about to get started. So getting started. So today we're gonna need, as best you can, wherever you are. If you can, cool. If you can't, just try to do it in your mind or whatever. But try to get a pencil, pen, something you can write on or write with, because it's going to be like a story time workshop. We are going to start writing stories. We're going to start writing our own story. We're going to start writing our own scripts that we can act out in our lives and have a better understanding, so we can take control of what's going on here, and we're not reading someone else's script, in our life, so to speak, right? So if you can get you just something to write with, doesn't have to be fancy, just because I am going to call on people, or not. I mean, I'm going to call on people if you want to be called on. If you want to volunteer, cool. But I'm going to call on people or volunteer if you can, because that way you can have a better understanding of how to do what we're talking about, right? And you can apply this to any area of your life. So we may talk about business, we may talk about relationships. It doesn't have to be like super personal, but just something for you to have a better understanding of how to write your own script is my point, right? And so then you can refine it on your own when you are, by yourself, or, when you get off the call at some point in the future. But, so we're going to go through, different examples of things for you to realize how to write your own script, how to tell your own story, right? All right. So first I'm going to start off with a word. I'll write it because I don't know all the time if everybody can, it is right? Is it one F or two Fs? Profession. I think it's
One F, two S's.
one or two S's. Yeah.
Okay, thank
Profession. Before you start looking it up on the etymological dictionary, does anybody know what now this is me, so it's never as straight as you think it is, right? So what do we think? And it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. We're here to learn. There is no right or wrong in that sense. We're here to learn. What does anybody want to guess what that word means?
A generic term for a profession. I know it's going to be wrong because I know you. That what I'm thinking of is something that you do in order to sustain yourself monetarily. Yeah, I'll just say that, something that you do to sustain yourself or your family monetarily. Okay, half of that is right. It's something that you do. The half of that is right. It's something that you do. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else want to guess? When we say this word, another word that comes from this, right, is to profess. Right?
So does anybody else have an idea of what they think this word means?
I was going to say what you just said there, to speak something into existence. When you profess, you're outwardly projecting.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right. So the word profession is first used. It means to take. It's really a religious word as far as the context. It means to take a vow. The first people the first professions were three. They were theology, law, and medicine. Those are the first. I know they say, the night walkers, let's just say, is the oldest profession, but that wasn't really even coined into the 1800s. We're talking about something far before that. The first professions were theology, law, and medicine. The word profess was actually used in a religious context. It means to take a vow. That's what it actually means, right? So when you're talking about when you're talking about the first profession was really like you're taking a vow to enter a religious order. So like monk, or that's why I say take a vow of poverty, or all these like they were talking more about religious. It was really more in a religious context. You took a vow to enter a religious order or sect, right? To be a monk or a priest or whatever else. It means to take a vow, right? And it wasn't even publicly until later. That's really that's what you call somebody who is a professional. A professional is someone who's taken a vow publicly. So when you say, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm a doctor, I'm an electrician. They're now announcing the vow they took to the world. So we're going to start talking about our story today. And I'm starting with this word because I want you to understand, like we talk about kind of all the time, what words really mean and what you're really saying and what these words originally meant and still mean today. Connotatively, they're being used as, like you said, as, what are you, a doctor or a lawyer or whatever else it is, as far as profession. But denotatively, the original word, right, the complete mark, the whole original word meant to take a vow. So when you are a professional, it means you have taken a vow to do this thing. Now you're going to say, okay, I'm going to be a doctor. Now I'm going to be a lawyer. Now I'm going to be, right. The shun is like it turns profession, it turns profess, which is like a noun, right, into an action. The shun is the action. It's the act of your vow. You're now acting your vow out, what you have vowed to be, right? So what we're saying is that every day that we wake up and we go to our 9 to 5 and all these different things, we are professing our vow. We are making public our vow, right? So when you think about that, are we making the vows we want to make, right? Are we actually waking up doing what we want to do? Are we actually committed to this thing that we're waking up every day doing most of the week, most of the month, most of the year, most of our adult years, right? And so when words are made up, they're made up based on the action, on what it is or what it does. Then you put a word to it. It's not the other way around, right? So that's why a lot of words, when we do these, a lot of times we don't really know what the word means because we're doing it the opposite way. We're just saying, well, this word, but we're not really attaching it to the action. And when we attach it to the action, we know what the action is, then we understand what the word represents. So this original word, profession, right, means to take a vow. When you're a professional, it means now the vow you've taken is being acted out in whatever area of life that is. The original three were theology, medicine, and law. Those are original three. Okay. Next one is going to be, that's too fast.
Yeah.
Affirmation. Affirmation. So remember the shun, right, is always the act of whatever it is, right? The affirm is your root word. So this is kind of like your noun and this is your verb, the acting of what you're doing. So affirmation, affirm, affirmation. What does that word mean?
The act of affirming something. It kind of goes along with professing. You have professed something and now you are affirming it over and over, and you are making an affirmation, making it solid.
Commit.
I'm sorry. You are in your mind making something real to yourself.
Pretty close. Both of those are pretty close. Both of those are pretty close. Anyone else?
What about to solidify?
That's all three of those are like a triangle. That's pretty much it. It means basically to decide. It means to solidify. It means to make firm. So when you're affirming something, you are solidifying its truth to you. You are deciding that this is what you are going to make firm and solid in your experience. It doesn't mean you're creating something. It means you're making firm something that already exists. You're solidifying it in your experience, right? You are deciding that this is what it is. This is what it actually is, right? So when people say, oh, do affirmations, I want you to understand truly, denotatively, truly what that word means. It means you have decided to make whatever it is you're saying over and over or engaging in over and over, you're deciding to solidify that in your reality, in your experience. You're deciding that this is going mentally, this is what I am going to firm and make solid and real in my life. You're not trying to make it up. You're not creating anything. You are just saying that I've decided that this is going to be real for me. And when you repeat an affirmation, so to speak, you're repeating, you're literally repping that out, whether you're doing push-ups or lifting weights or whether you are doing multiplication tables, you're repeating it over and over. And the more you do that, faith comes by hearing. Our ability to understand something comes through repetition. So when you're affirming something, what you're essentially doing is you are repeatedly making solid, making firm, solidifying a concept or an idea or a desire. You're making that firm and real and solidifying it to you. You're not creating it. You're not making the thing. You are making that thing real. The thing that already exists, you're making it real to you. Right? That's what that word affirmation means. It means the act of doing that. To affirm means to literally make it real, to solidify it. Shun means the act of doing that. So that's what affirmation means. That's actually what it means. That's important to understand because a lot of times when people say affirmations, when you're trying to condition your mind to a concept, a lot of times people get tripped up because they think they're trying to make something real, so to speak, like they're trying to create the thing. The thing already exists. You're just trying to make it real in your mind. You're trying to bring yourself in unison with it, in unity with it. You're not creating the it. You're just making it real to you. It's almost like you're marrying it. You're becoming one with it. You're not trying to make the person. The person already exists. The thing already exists. You're just becoming one with it in your mind by repeatedly making it firm and solid to you, by getting acquainted, by getting to know it, by spending time with it. That's what you're doing in your mind when you're affirming. You're going through the stages of getting to know something, of making it real, a presence in your life. Right? So that's very important. Well, those two words are important. I want you to understand what you're saying when you're saying things so that you understand how to use what you're saying and what to expect from what you're saying so that not only you know, but you know properly and so that you can use it properly. Good to know what a bike is. Doesn't help you if you can't ride. So it's good to know what a word is, but it can't help you if you don't really know what it means, right? And how to use it. So we want to always understand both, right? Okay, any questions on that so far? Okay, so stories. In every area of our lives, we have relationships. We have personal relationships. We have professional relationships, right? Whether they're friends, family, co-workers, whatever else it is. Everything, all those things are outside of us. Our brothers outside of us, our sisters outside of us, our mother, our father, our wives, our husbands, kids, they're all outside of us. They're all things that are outside of us. with each thing we have outside of us, we have a relationship with it, right? We have a relationship with that thing. The relationship we have with it is our story, in the sense of when I say, hey, so-and-so, you know, what's your dad like? Or where's your dad? Or where's your mom? Or where's your whatever else it is. When I mention someone to you, you have a concept of who they are in your mind and what your relationship to that person or thing is. If I say ice cream, somebody be like, I love it. Some people are like, oh, I'm lactose intolerant, can't do it, right? But ice cream is the same. The thing is the same. Our relationship to it differs based on our own individuality, right? So as a result of who we are and this thing, we have a relationship. And the relationship we have is our story. It's like, okay, when I think of this thing, I describe it as this. When somebody else thinks of it, they describe it as that, or whatever else it is. The thing never changed. The description of it changed. And the description of it changed because the person who's describing it is different than another person who's describing it. So these are very important to understand, because we're always telling ourselves stories about everything, right? We have a belief about everything. And what we do here more than anything else is become conscious of everything, of our beliefs, of our desires, of our strengths, of our weaknesses. We have to become conscious before we can do anything about it. There's no dead people changing their lives. It's just people in a coma are having a hard time doing it too. It's just, we have to be conscious. We have to be alert and aware. And the more alert and aware and perspicacious we are, right? Paying attention to detail, alert and aware, the more say we have over our lives, whether it's to continue something, eliminate something, create something, or whatever else it may be. Right. Okay. So today, what we're going to do this in kind of two steps. Number one, we're going to make ourselves aware of the stories we're telling ourselves in every area of life. But we may just start with each person, maybe one area, right? It may be with the area you want to start most. What is your story about this thing? What are you telling yourself this thing is, how it's going, what it isn't, what it can be, what it won't be, how it is, whatever else it is, right? One of the things that I sent out through my assistant, right, is in the morning, most people wake up and see. They wake up and just see how it goes. Wake up and be like, let me see how it's gonna go today. Oh man, let me just, right? Instead of waking up and saying, I'm waking up and saying, this is what's going to happen today. This is how my day is going to go. This is how I'm going to feel. This is how I'm going to treat this person, or how this person is going to treat me. This is how I'm going to get to work. This is how I'm going to feel. This is how people are going to treat me. All these different things. Wake up and say. Don't wake up and see. By the time you figure out what you see, you're probably not going to like it, and now you're already behind. Now you're trying to catch up, try to get your mind back, your feelings back, your emotions back, and all those different things. Wake up and see. Wake up and order your day. I wake up, what do I want to eat today? What do I want to live today? What do I want to experience today? If you wake up and you see, it's like letting someone else order for you. You wake up and the water takes too long to get hot, now you messed up. You wake up and you thought you were going to make coffee and ran out, now you messed up again. If you wake up and just see how things go, if you don't grab a hold of your mind and determine how this is going to go, boy, your mind will be like a horse. You just open the door and it just ran off and you trying to catch it all day. Right? So it will be working you instead of working for you. So what we do here is bring ourselves to a level of awareness where we can work this powerful thing, the most powerful thing in the physical universe, our mind. Right? That's what we're here for. So we have stories that we're telling ourselves about every area of life. So what we're going to do today is wake up and figure out what those are and figure out if we need to revise them, remodel them, throw them out, whatever we need to do. But by the end of today, you'll have a good idea of what you should be doing in those areas, revising, remodeling, or just tearing it down and starting over, throwing it out, whatever else it is, so that you can eat what you want to eat. You can live the day you want to live. You can be who you want to be, right? All right, so let me see. Let's see, who has an area of life that they want to, that they are willing to discuss, not super personal, but that they want to get a concept of what I'm talking about in. All right, Kari, you up first. I saw it. Let's do it.
All right. This is something I talked to you about in our conversation before.
Yes.
I used to be self-employed for 10 or 12 years. Then I went back to work.
Yes.
And I have a kid and a wife and a single income family household.
Mhm.
And I am afraid to take that leap back into self-employment. And I tell myself this story, two stories. When my wife complains to me about bills or whatever, I usually shun her off and say, I'll make more money. Don't worry, I can make the money. Don't worry about that. That's one story that I tell myself, but I'm always afraid to take the full leap and tell myself, don't worry, go ahead and be self-employed. You can do this. And I'm wondering why I tell myself that story. Is it just the fear? Am I being cautious? Is it smart to be cautious, or do I need to stop being so cautious and start taking more risks?
Cool. Okay. So to answer your question as far as why do you tell yourself that, right? Why do we tell ourselves stories, whether they're good or bad? Why do we tell ourselves a story we tell ourselves? And why do we, and why are the stories always, it's not that the story, it's not that the story is always true, not because the outcome we may feel is true, but the story is always true that we're telling ourselves because it is a reflection of our self-concept. It's our self-concept that tells us this story. It's not that the outcome of what we fear is true. It's that what we fear is individualized because it is a reflection of our self-concept. Some people fear working out. You obviously don't, right? But it's because you're different than that person. The weights aren't any heavier or lighter, but depending on who you are, they're lighter or heavier, right? So the reason, number one, the stories we tell ourselves are always custom fit. They're custom tailored because they're literally what you tell yourself. Dame Dash would literally say the opposite, right? If you heard that dude on there, he's yelling at everybody. If you don't have your own business, if you can't leave something to your kids and have your own thing, you nothing. He will tell himself the exact opposite, right? It's not that he's more bold than you. It's not that he's more educated than you. That's his own belief. That's his own story based on his own self-concept. So our stories always match our self-concept. And so in order to change the story, we have to change our self-concept. That's one of the things, the reasons we have a problem believing affirmations like, I'm sick. And then we say, okay, I want to be rich. Well, it's because, or I want to be healthy. But then we have a hard time, even if we say it, we have a hard time believing it because our self-concept is I'm sick. And sometimes why do we have that self-concept or that story? Well, because we say it's hereditary. Everybody in my family always catches this. My dad died, my granddaddy died, my great-great, everybody died at a heart attack at 53, right? We tell ourselves things based on our personalized experience. Our story becomes personalized. So you said you're telling yourself a story that you said, okay, well, I have this or that. Now, here is how you can remodel that story. Here's an example. You can say something like, I'm an incredible entrepreneur. I have a marvelous, successful business doing what I love to do every day. I have infinite clients who are matches made in heaven. They love what I have to offer. They love to pay me what I want, and they love to refer other people who do the same. You can say that to yourself. And when you say that to yourself over and over and over and over, you don't have to quit your job today. You don't have to stop. You don't even have to believe it when you first say it. A 5-year-old learning the times table don't believe it. They're just taught what to say. They say it over and over until it becomes a belief, until they start to understand it. First they go in, it's like stages, right? We all, depending on what the belief is, we all believe in stages. Some things we're further away, some things we're closer to when we first start saying it, depending on who we are, right? But we still go through some stages. And so the point is that when you first create a new story, when you first introduce 2 times 2 is 4, that's a new reality to a 5-year-old, to a 4-year-old. It's a new thing. So they can't believe it when they first say it. Now they may believe the person who's telling them. They may believe my mom is telling me that, my dad is telling me that. Okay, cool, I can do that. What I'm saying to you is your desire is like, we'll just use it metaphorically. Your desire that's telling you something is like your mom and dad. You may not believe or understand, you may not believe you may not understand what they're saying or believe what they're telling you because that's a new reality to you. But you believe what they're saying because you believe them. When we're young, we believe them. We be like, all right, well, they said I could do it. They said I was the best. So all right, well, I guess I got to figure out how to live up to that thing, right? But what I'm saying to you is that story you're telling yourself, you can tell a new story just like that. You write it your own way. But what I'm saying to you is the reason that story is so relevant to us, the stories we tell ourselves, is because they're accustomed to our concept, to what we believe is possible for us. What we believe is possible isn't necessarily possible. It's more, it's less, it's custom, whatever you think is, right? So you now sit down and you say about your business, write yourself a custom story. This is so when I said I'm an incredible entrepreneur. So now you're telling yourself not only that you're an entrepreneur, but what level you're on. I'm incredible at it, right? This is what I am, and this is the level I'm functioning at, right? Then you say, I'm an incredible entrepreneur. I have a marvelous, successful business. So now it's like, how does your thing feel? How's it operating? How's the thing that the incredible entrepreneur is? How is he operating with this thing? I have a marvelous, successful business, right? So then you're saying, okay, what? Doing what I love to do every day. So now there's no grind in that. There's no willpower. There's no dedication. There's no commitment. Nobody's dedicated at the party. Nobody's there in the sense of like nobody's willpowering there. Everybody's having the best time of their life, right? So you have a marvelous, successful business doing what you love to do. Now you have infinite clients. It's like a turnstile at the Warriors game or at Disneyland. Like people just keep coming, like McDonald's, billions served. They don't care how many people leave because there's always somebody coming. They're not chasing nobody in the parking lot like, are you coming back? Right? No, they're like, man, they like, get on, right? Now most places you can order online because they're trying to, if you're successful, you're trying to get people in and out. And the faster you can get them out, the faster they'll come back, right? Because they're like, man, that dude is on his thing. That customer service is fire, right? So you have a marvelous, successful business doing what you love, right? You have infinite clients, like a turnstile. They just keep coming in and coming out, coming in and coming out. You have infinite clients who are matches made in heaven. It doesn't do you any good to have clients you hate or that hate you. That ain't no successful business. That business won't work either. So there's a lot of reasons businesses fail, but that's one of them. You either can't get customers, can't keep them, they don't like you, or you don't like them. Either way it goes is all bad. So you have infinite clients who are matches made in heaven, right? And then who are matches made in heaven, right? Who love to pay you what you want and love what you have to offer and love to refer others who do the same. So when they love to pay you what you want, you'll be happy showing up. Number one, who love what you have to offer. They sitting there and you imagine people, you walking up to your company building, or you walking up to or you turn your laptop on, and boy, they sitting there waiting. When you log in, they've been in, right? When you walk up to the building, they in the parking lot. When you call in, they done called you 5 times already. They're waiting for you, literally like a baby's waiting to eat. They're waiting for you, right? And then they love her for others who feel the same way. So if you have a client who you love, and then that client who you love and loves you refers others, and they're the same way that this person is, now you got 2 people who love you. Then you get 10 people, and if all of them feel the same way about you as you do that person, or that person felt about you, and you have 10, 20, 50 of them, anytime you go to business school, they'll tell you the lifeline of any business are referrals. That's the lifeline. So when you have somebody who loves you that much and loves what you have to offer, and they refer you in that vein, in that spirit, in that emotion, I mean, how much marketing do you think you got to do at that point? I mean, rashes spread, and they don't need they don't need to get on Instagram 50 times to do it. Germs spread, diseases spread, right? They're contagious. People's love for you can be just the same. Everybody catch that? Come on, man. That was real. Somebody do something.
That was a teacher.
Because that was it. Right? People's love for you can be the same, Cardi. Right? But it's based on your self-concept in the sense of, am I willing to believe that? And will I listen to my parent in that moment who has more confidence in me than I may have in myself? But their job is to grow me up because they know me better than I know myself. I'm only 6 years old. I don't think I can win this race. But they like, man, you my boy. you can do anything. You my son, you can do anything. And you like, let me get to you over here, like it's all right, it's go time then. Mom said I can do it, dad said I can do it. That's part of parenting, is the esteem we try to place on our children. Is saying, hey, you don't know how great you are, but I do, and you can do anything. That's what your desire is. It's almost like your parent telling Kari, hey, we can do this thing. I believe, I know you can do it, and I'm with you. I'm not just telling you go out there and leave you on your own. I'm with you. So even if you don't understand it, it understands you, so you can believe in yourself, and it will help you. Because remember, it doesn't need your help, it just needs your permission. It just needs the operating system to put on there what it's typing, right? Your iPad doesn't need your help, but it needs your skill. It can put down anything you put on it. That's why you use it, right? But it doesn't make the things, you make the things. And it just displays what you make. So your higher self is just wants to use your body like you're using an iPad. Right? It's got all the skill, right? So write yourself a new story in that area. Write yourself something you like. So take what I did and remix it, just did it into your own words, right? And then literally you don't have to change a thing. You don't have to quit your job. You don't have to go run off into the night. You don't have to stay up all night. Just literally date that thing. You know, like you date a person, date that thing, right? Date that thing until you marry it. Keep saying it until you become one with it, right? Say it over and over to yourself, just while you're working, right? Just, man, I'm good. I'm out here. Whatever your thing is, man, I'm out here, right? And you will see things will start to change. You'll start to change, because faith comes by hearing, and you'll start to move different. You won't have to do a thing. You don't have to change a thing. Just keep saying it over and over and over in your mind. Say it, write something you love to say over and over. Just like you date somebody over and over, because you like, I like what I got. I like what I'm getting. I like what I'm seeing every time. And you do that, and sooner or later you marry it. You become one with it. And you look up and you're like, yeah, how did I get here? Right? Right? And before you know it, you're looking back, and you've been doing it for 2 years, 5 years, whatever else it is. It's the same thing principle. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
All right, my good man. Yes, sir. All right. Who's next?
There's some new folks, so if you want to say what we're doing.
Oh, okay. For those of us who just got on, essentially we are learning to write our own story in every area of life: our health, our money, our relationships, our job, our whatever else it is in life. Those are all things outside of us, and everything outside of us we have a relationship with, and that relationship is a story to us. So when I say money to you, what is the story you have? I always have it. I always don't. It's hard to make. Can't get it. I'm a Republican, so I got a lot. I'm a Democrat, so I don't. I'm black, so I can't. I'm white, so I can. Like, what story do we have with whatever thing we're referring to, that we're talking about? A lot of times, if we actually sit back and break the story down that we have, we will realize that it's not the best one. It's almost like having a bad script, hoping to have a good movie. It's just not going to work out, right? I was watching a movie the other day, and I saw two really good actors, and you could see the passion and the fire, what they're doing, but the script was bad. The writing was bad. And it's funny, this was literally like maybe 2 days ago. And it was one of the first times I ever really thought that. It was like, oh man, I really like these two actors, but oh, that scene was so fire and passion and emotion, but the writing wasn't good. So what they were saying wasn't as good as they were. And so a lot of times we are so much better than the script we're reading, but the script or the story we're reading, the story we're telling ourselves, is the one we're living. It's the only one we can act. It's the only one we can act out. And that's the one that is so far below us. And we wonder why we feel like we should be able to, but we aren't. Right? So essentially what we're doing here is we're taking any area of life that we want to discuss, and we're saying, what is the story we're telling ourselves now? And how can we retell this story so that we can literally start living the story we want, so we can be the actor with the right script and win us a Grammy, an Emmy, or whatever else it is, right? Whatever else it is, right? We want to make sure that we write a story, we have a script that we can read, that we can live, that we have stories we're telling ourselves, thoughts that we're telling ourselves, that we're acting out daily, right? So that's what we're doing today. It's a little story time. It's getting us to understand what is it we're telling ourselves, so that we understand what we're saying and wonder why we're winning or losing, so to speak, why we're succeeding or why we're feeling held back, held down, not as much as we would like to express. Now, when everybody may be talking about something different, but but the principle is the same, right? Sit there and think really like, what am I telling myself in this area? What am I telling myself about money, about my health, about whether I can be an entrepreneur or not, about what type of father I am, mother I am, whether about whatever else it is, what is possible for me or not? What am I telling myself, right? What is my story that I'm believing every day? Because that's the script that the great actor, the personas, that's where the word person comes from, the Latin word, like we talked about before, persona. It means mask or character. So all of us today have all these different names on the screen, but the names are only the mask that the true us is wearing. So we are essentially personas, we're characters, we're actors, and we're acting out the script of our belief. Every day we're getting up and acting on film, in life, the script, right? That's why writers are just as important as actors. Somebody's got to tell them what to say, what to think, what to act out, right? So we want to make sure that we're writing a script, that we're telling ourselves a story that is actually going to win us an award, right? All right, so that's what we're doing. All right, who's up? Who's next?
Don't be shy.
I could go next.
Hello?
Do it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'll turn on my camera. Hold on, Saturday morning. But so what I'm telling myself, good morning, everybody. This is my first time here.
Welcome.
I guess thank you. The story that I am telling myself is that, well, the story I want to tell myself is that I'm able to get my business off the ground within the next 2 years, so that I can retire from the government. But the real belief is I'm gonna have to stay till I'm like another 7, 8 years till I'm 52, in order to, I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's the fear of being a W-2 employee for so long, and kind of like what I can't remember his name was saying. I'm sorry, forgive me. Yeah, Kari was saying is like, and then letting go. The only difference is he's had that full-time experience of being an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So I've never had the full-time experience about being an entrepreneur. Me and my husband run multiple businesses, but it's really always come back to like my W-2 income. So it's like, and I guess the mindset that comes with it is, I always hear him say, you always got to rob Peter to pay Paul in business. This is part of business. So it's like, okay, when do you get past that stage of robbing Peter to pay Paul, and your business is profitable and you're actually, living off of it full time?
Perfect.
So that's the story. Yeah.
So, okay, that's perfect. So now remember, what does the word professional, what does that mean? Were you here when we said that?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what does that word mean?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, you said it's something that you do, something to profess, something to take a vow. So when people ask, yeah.
So when you rob Peter to pay Paul, what did you just take?
I feel I'm trying to make sure I understand your question. What did I take? I feel like I just took something like the same money and just moved it somewhere else, and you're constantly just doing this over and over and over again, and it seems like you're sustaining, but you really may not.
What makes you do? What makes anyone do? What do you have to do before you do? Before you physically do something, what has to happen?
You got to make a decision to do it.
What is a decision? What's another word for decision?
Action.
Nope. What comes before an action? What comes before an action?
Your thought process.
Your thought.
My mind.
Your mind. What you're thinking. You have to think before you do. There's so many things that we do habitually, we don't realize we're thinking. But we always have to think before we do. Right? So it's just, now sometimes it goes so fast. If I say 2 times 2, you'll say 4. But a 3-year-old will be like, right? If I say 2 times 5, you'll say 10, but it's going to take you a second longer because now I gave you a different number. You just have to process a different number. But what I'm saying to you is we're always thinking before we do. So when you say I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, what you did was you took a vow. You took a vow that every time I'm in this situation, I'm going to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Okay.
You're taking a vow. So what I'm saying to you is that the reason your business is what it is and isn't what it isn't, the floor and the ceiling is you are in the middle of it. What you are believing your experience has to be by the story you're telling yourself, whether it's you telling it, your husband telling it, your kids telling it, it doesn't matter. Faith comes by hearing, not by hearing a certain person, not by hearing a certain thing, but by hearing, period. So when we are telling ourselves something or hearing something that we hear enough to actually start believing, that is the script. We start watching the same show as the person who turned the TV on. The thought may not have come from us, but the acceptance now brings us into the experience of the same person who has the original thought. So do you understand that so far?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
when you say, how do I get out of this situation? Well, you have to understand why you're in it. You are in it because it is a physical reflection of your thought of what you think things have to be or can be or can't be. And until or unless we are willing to change what is possible for us first in mind, we cannot change it physically. Let me tell this to everybody. What we see physically in the world with our senses is last. It's like the equal sign, and here's the answer. The answer is last. So the physical world that we see when things come into our physical 5 sense world, that is last. Our business is last. Our health is last. They are the outcomes of a process that led us to that. So when we are thinking, I have to do this to do that, or when I'm feeling that something's impossible, that is this plus this equals that. The outcome that we're getting is the outcome of our thought and feeling, what we're thinking and feeling to be so. So in order to understand how to get out, we have to understand how we got in, why we're in, and how to get out in the sense of like, okay, I can't just work harder all the time. I can't outwork my mind. That doesn't work. That's not reality. So change, just like we talked about Kari, change your story. Write a story that says, I can do this. This is how it's going for me. The story doesn't have to be true in your physical world. But if you have a desire, it is true in the creative part of the world. Your power is in your mind. Your mind is the creator. Your body is the assembler. So like when, we all probably played with Legos when we were young. We couldn't play with them until we got them. We didn't make the Legos. We played with the things that were already made. Your hands are like playing with the Legos, but your mind is the manufacturer. So you have to create in your mind to see. When people say, oh, I'll believe it when I see it, it doesn't work like that. If that were the case, how would somebody ever create the first airplane? There's nothing to see. The only place you could have had the concept of an airplane is first in your mind. Then from your mind, that's the creative part of you. Your body is the assembler. It looks into your mind and says, oh, it's literally fashioning, it's forming, it's building according to a blueprint, like construction workers. They just come to put this thing together. They weren't the idea makers. They were the people who are assembling the idea. So to answer your question, you have to, just like Kari, you have to write a different story and understand that this is the process of creation. Creation starts in the mind. If you're unwilling to accept a new view of yourself, version of yourself, if you don't understand that just like you were first 5 years old and now you're your age now, you always are able to grow, not only in body, but in mind. And in your mind is the highest place you can grow. It has the most capacity. Our body stops at a certain point. Our mind never stops. We can learn forever. So you have the ability to be more than what you are if you are willing to accept the concept. This is your first time. So we've said this before. Your desire that you're talking about doesn't need your help. It just needs your permission. It doesn't need your help. If you give it your permission, it will bring the help. Oh, okay, now she's willing to believe this. Let me bring some people now. Let me bring some that are going to help her belief. Right?
So can I ask one follow-up question?
Yes, absolutely.
I understand that and I agree with that because I believe that, you know, what you think, hear, and say have everything to do with kind of like you say, how you act out your mindset. But how do you, I guess the question is, how do you combat when that negative message or that thought process is constantly coming from the outside, from external? So you've written your story, but you still have these external forces saying, no, it's this way. This is the reality.
Because your story, so you and your story, what is the common denominator?
Me.
You are the only person you have to agree with. You're the only person you're coming into agreement with. You are coming, the outer you is coming into the agreement with the inner you. You are being blessed. It means you are coming into an agreement. It's a ritual, it's a ceremony. You're saying to myself, okay, this is what I want to be. And so I have no way to know how to do that. But I know this is what I want. So from this point, I have the idea. My physical self likes the idea, but has no way or means of achieving it. But the reason it doesn't is because that's not its responsibility. The same place the idea came from is where the power is. But the power needs an expression. The power needs an outlet. You are the outlet. So all you have to do is plug yourself in, come into agreement, like a plug into an outlet. So it means the plug and the wall are one. There's 1,000 things outside of it, but they're the only things connected. So to answer your question, what you do is you say, okay, this agreement is between me and me, so to speak, me and my higher self. So I'm not looking for anyone on the outside to agree, like it, understand, believe it. I'm not talking to them. I'm not trying to convince them. The only thing I have to change and to self-convince or to convince is myself. It means I am now relying on this part of myself because that's the only person I have an agreement with. So when you say, okay, I'm going to keep my focus here by writing your story, and that's what saying it over, that's what affirmations, your vow will do. When you do it over and over, it won't change the outside world. It will change what the outside world means to you. You won't see it as something, it's none of your business. When you're riding down the highway, there's 1,000 cars on each side of you. As long as they don't hit you, you don't care who's outside of you, right? You're in your own car, you're safe. You are always free to go wherever you want to go, regardless of all the things outside of you. So by literally keeping your agreement with yourself, you say, okay, I'm going to write this story. Every morning, I'm going to say it to myself. Every evening before I go to bed, I'm going to go to bed with this thought on my mind. What's going to happen is it strengthens your relationship with your inner self. It strengthens your understanding. It strengthens your trust in your inner self. Just like I told Kari, you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to come up with some kind of miracle. You don't have to do anything in that respect, except this. Change your concept of yourself. Change what you believe is true. And you do that by going into yourself, by agreeing with the desire that's in you, because that's where your power is. That's where your help is. That's where your resources are. Then you're not dependent on other people agreeing, understanding. How can they agree or understand with everything and they're not you? Right? So by writing this story and saying it over and over, what you're going to do is you're going to strengthen the relationship. You're going to strengthen your trust and your faith in the vision you have within you. And as you strengthen that, it expresses stronger. It starts to come out of you into the world. And it will naturally come. Ideas will come. People will come. It will bring everything to you to physically assemble this thing that the idea in your mind already has awareness of. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
We have our hand up, Senor Novoli Buchan?
Oh, Bocha.
Bochan. Excuse my accent. You can unmute.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm trying to put my hand down at the same time. Just want to introduce myself. My name is Huey Lee Beecham Jr.
Oh.
Hopefully everybody will write that name down. Look me up on Facebook. I was invited to this group by your brother.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and I'm glad to be here. It's my pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, sir. Pleasure.
So I'm gonna fast forward just to the last 2 weeks of my life. You'll see everything just as I'm about to say it on my Facebook page. The last 2 weeks of my life. Woke up sitting in the bed with my CPAP on. A policeman from next door came in to make sure I was still alive. My wife thought I was dead. Had the policeman to come in to check because she could not live with seeing my body if she found me dead. So that's how my 2 weeks started. From there, spent 2 emergency room visits. I've been back and forth to the doctor every day since then. I have a pinched nerve in my neck. Because of that pinched nerve in my neck, I can't use my right arm. It's halfway paralyzed. I have a whole lot of other things that are going on as well, which are reasons why I had to be hospitalized and taken to the emergency room. But long story short, during that time frame, I was also having a whole lot of what you were just talking about. I was having a whole lot of light coming in, and I was getting ideas, and I couldn't stop them. My wife thought I was having a bipolar episode, and I have bipolar, I'm just being honest with you. I do have bipolar disease. So I partially agreed with her. But this Sunday, Easter Sunday, during those 2 weeks, I came up with the ideas enough to create my own business on Sunday morning. And I just got it started up and running. I came up with everything during the last, actually, 4 weeks. And I want you to be a part of it. I want to put you on my website. As soon as it's up and running, every time you open your mouth, I want you to be on there. So I want to talk to you offline, but continue what you're doing today. And thank you all for allowing me to be a part of it.
Oh man, it's our honor and pleasure. And like we said earlier, we're all with you, and we're all with each other. And hopefully everyone can reach out to each other just for whatever reason, ideas, help, support. That's what we're all here for, to win, to learn how to win.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
Sorry
sir.
to cut you off.
Yes,
Let me tell you what my business is about.
Okay.
I was just so excited, just wanted to get on here and say hello, but I will tell you real swiftly what my business is about, because I do want everybody to kind of understand, what I'm trying to do.
Yes, sir.
Just before I got on the call, I used an artificial intelligence app to look up when was the last historically Black college or university created, and it was the University of Virgin Islands, 1962. My company is going to create the next HBCU.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Marcus is into that for sure.
That's why he's my last partner that I just signed up this morning, and hopefully he'll be my next one.
Oh, okay. Okay. I had never, we have a podcast, and I'm actually going to bring my brother on to talk about HBCUs, because here on the West Coast, I'm sure as Kari will, attest, we don't really talk about Black colleges because we don't have any over here. There's no commercials. There's no, if you don't know someone literally who went, you at best, you may have heard of Howard, Morehouse, maybe, so the first time I'd ever been to a Black college was going to visit Marcus at Howard. So, and so over here on the West Coast, that's huge, because there's so many people, of all ages who could really benefit from a different type of experience. And over here, not only do we not benefit, most people don't even know it exists, really. Not really. It's like Santa Claus. You heard of it, but ain't nobody ever seen it, right? Like that's what it is out here on the West Coast, especially, on the other side of Texas over here. So yeah, man, that's wonderful. Yeah, I'd love to talk to you.
Hey, and that's one place that I want to put my next HBCU in California. I know there's a few there. I want to start in Alabama, and California is going to be my next spot.
Okay. All right, man. Well, shoot, if you have the idea, you can do it. There's enough power in you, enough health in you, there's enough time in you, as long as you...
Everything was given to me straight from above, from God. There's no other explanation for it. Straight from God. And I wrote everything down, documented it while I was going through it.
Yes,
I have proof of everything that I discovered, and most of it and that's what I wanted to touch on. That artificial intelligence that you talked about, most of the information I found, I used artificial intelligence app on my phone.
yes.
The day that I learned about artificial intelligence app, the GPT-4, and there's another one. My cousin told me about it. The next day, Elon Musk came up online and tried to get rid of these Autobots. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it was just a few weeks ago. But yes, that's when all of this started. And artificial intelligence is a way of the future. I'm going to put that into my HBCUs, STEM research and artificial intelligence, and that's where I'm going with this.
Man, wonderful. Sounds good. And for all of you guys, understand that wherever a dream comes, right? Wherever the dream comes, it will guide and provide. If you just roll with it. It doesn't mean you have to quit what you're doing. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean you have to quit anything that you're doing right now. If you're taking medicine, and medicine is great. It's not the highest form of health, but it's great. So confess your good health when you take it. Say, you know what, I'm in perfect health, and take whatever you need to take. Don't stop taking your medicine, but literally heal your way out of it. Don't stop taking it, heal your way out of it. Be so healthy you forgot to take it for 3 days. Remember, and then worry that you forgot for 3 days, in the sense of like grow out of it. You don't have to stop taking it, right? You take it and say, man, I'm in perfect health. Everything in my body works just the way it's supposed to, right? And so, and you grow out of something. You don't have to stop doing something. Wherever that desire comes from has all the power and the ways and means to express itself physically, but it needs to do it through you. It needs a physical apparatus. That's why we have bodies, right? These are our expression machines. These are not creative, they're created. This is only expressive, right? This is where creation is. This is where power is, right? So whenever you have those ideas and visions and things of yourself being and doing and having something, all you have to do is lock into it and agree with it, and just sit down and you write out what you want, and you literally take a vow for that. And you have an agreement between you and yourself, not between anyone else or outside of you, between you and yourself. And that agreement will express itself expansively. It'll lead the right people to you. It'll keep expressing the right ideas and all these different things. So that's something I want everybody to know and understand. So great work, great work. Okay, who's next?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Without being too forceful,
Yes.
how can we help other people around us, say family members or loved ones, to be able to change their story? And as I'm saying that, I'm kind of answering my own question, but I want to hear from you. As I said, that the answer that came in my head is start living it, and maybe they'll take after the example. But I want to ask you, if I have someone that I really would like to see them to do something, and it's in my heart and it's bothering me that it's not happening, how can I help them to rewrite their story without being that forceful enforcer saying, do this, do this, do this?
Well, so two things we have to understand. Number one is you can do that within yourself, right? So by seeing them the way you want to see them, that's your own situation. That's your own situation. So that is not something you even have to talk to them about in that sense. You can just see them the way you want to see them, in perfect health or successful or married or going to college or whatever it is your desire for them is. You have to be self-convinced. The only person you have to really convince is you in that respect. So for you to emanate that, for that to be able to come out of you, you have to be self-convinced, right? If you base it on who they are now or what they are now, it'll lock you up. So a lot of times we think there's a difference, like we talked about before, between influence and outcome. When we have a desire, we want the outcome. Where we most often miss the outcome is because we start meddling in the middle of influence. We start thinking like, that's why people say, well, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it's not this or that, or sometimes you know people and they still don't help you. Sometimes the people who do help you, can't believe they help you because 2 days before they told you they hated you, or it's just somebody out of the blue who walked up to you and say, hey man, I like your car. And like you said at the very beginning, you start talking to people just out of the blue. You don't know who all that, you don't know who really is or isn't in your conscious mind, because you don't know when they close their eyes what they're believing themselves to be. You don't know when they roll over and they're snoring what's going through their mind. We don't know, right? And so a lot of times when we have something, we try to assign a person to it, and then when that person fails, so to speak, our dream dies with them. Our desire dies with them. So number one, when we want something for someone else, I have a child, I say the same things over her all the time, right? Like, this is what I want her to be. This is how I want her day to go. I teach her and I've taught her how to do that for herself. But she's going to do it or she's not. But I still do what I want on her behalf because of the way it makes me feel, right? As her father and as somebody who's supposed to be looking out for her. So that's number one, is you decide what you want. And you keep that vision in yourself, and it has ways to emanate out, to go out. Number one. Number two, as a result of that, you also will be the example, not only of what you're doing, your own story that you're living, but you'll also be an example of the story you want them to live. Because that idea, just like it knows how to make you what you need to be for that, it knows how to make you what you need to be for that person too. They'll see you the way you're first seeing yourself, right? They're going to see you the way you're first seeing yourself. That's number two. Number three, and last thing, this is not a but it's also along with it, meaning I'm not contradicting what I just said, but we also have to have another understanding that we don't have a right to change people. We don't actually have that right. Everybody has the right. I tell my daughter all the time, people have the right to be right, the right to be wrong, and the right to be them. That's their right. So imagine, your wife was like, you know what? I'm tired of you going to the gym every day. I think you should just stay home with me, right? And you'll be like, wait a minute, what? Right? You just think about if somebody had the ability to make you what they wanted you to be, how that would make you feel, right? And so a lot of times there is that limit, there's that line that we can't cross, where in our mind we can perceive them the way we want to, but also have an understanding that if they're not willing to accept that, there's not anything we can do about that, because that is their divinity. That is their life that they have a right to own, to break up, mess up, build up, do whatever they want to do with it, just the way we do. And so I say it this way so that we understand that, yes, we have the right to see them the way we want. And if we love them, we try to do that, right? And we become self-convinced that they are what we think is nice and good. However, right, we don't have a right. It's not something that we have a right to do against their will. If they're willing to accept it, it will become so. If they're consciously willing to accept it, or unconsciously in their mind, if they're open, you can get in. But if not, we don't have a right to break in, so to speak, right? It's the mind, it's not a house. So we don't have the right to break in, but you can do that. Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Yes.
On that note, I got to get to another meeting, but I really appreciate this. And I will talk with you soon, hopefully before Saturday.
Yes, sir. Hit me up anytime.
All right, for sure. Thank you, everyone.
Peace. All right. What else? Who's up? Who's the next contestant on The Price is Right?
The awkward silence before someone just volunteers. If you have the urge, go for it. Just do it. All right, everyone's being shy about their story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all right. Well, you guys can, chime in anytime, whatever else it is. But so if we listen and we take everyone's stories that we've heard, right? Number one, we realize that these are stories either we're telling ourselves or we're accepting from someone else. But doesn't matter whether we're accepting them or we're telling them, they are alive because we are holding them. We're making them alive. What we have to understand is nothing lives without the living. What does that mean? If you see an abandoned house, it's called abandoned because there's no living thing in it. So it decays, it falls down, it breaks down. There's no living thing in it to maintain it. Our Our bodies are just like a house. A thought is just like a house. It does not have without the liver, without the person, the living being. Right? So a thought is just an idea. It's a choice. It's an option. We don't have to give it life. But the thoughts that we give life to the most are the strongest, just like any relationship that we have. The relationships that are strongest to us are based on the people we spend the most time with. The thoughts that we have the most are the ones we spend the most time with. You have something?
I was gonna say, Johnny's willing to go next, so.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it, Johnny.
Hey, how you doing, Coach Lucky?
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Peace, King. Yes, I'm ready. I was in and out because I was getting dressed.
Yeah.
So just let me know what I need to do to participate.
Okay, so essentially, like we've been saying, we have stories about everything in life. So some
That's
people
correct.
have stories about poor health or about good health or about whatever else, about relationships, money, job, whatever else it is. Whatever those stories are, that is what we're living. That's the script. The story is the
Correct.
script. And we, the people, are acting that out. We're acting out our own script, right? So
Most
any
definitely.
area of life that we want to have a different expression on, we have to change the script of. The actor is going to read off the script. So if you don't like if you don't want the actor to be if you don't want the actor to be a serial killer anymore, and you want him to be a school teacher, you're going to have to give that person a new script to act out.
Absolutely.
So if we are living things that we don't want, we're going to have to change the story or the script that we, the people, the persona, is reading off of. Right.
Absolutely.
So what we're saying is that we have a story or a script about every area of our life. Health, money, relationships, whatever else it is. So what we're doing is we're all talking, sharing our stories that we have about something that we may want to change. And we're saying, okay, here's the story now. And so one is good to hear it and really hear what you're saying and what you're thinking. And a lot of times what we're thinking on the inside sounds much different when it comes out. You're like, damn, that's even worse than I thought. Right.
Mhm.
And so it gives us a better understanding of, it's like, wow, this is really what I'm saying. Then I wonder why I can't do this or do that. So we're sharing stories about what we're thinking in any area of our life, especially ones that we want to improve or that we want to change. And so that so that we can hear it and we can say, okay, how can we change that? Should we remodel it? Should we revise it? Or should we just eliminate it and create an entire new one? Because all parts of the house don't have to be bad. Just the basement may be too small, or maybe leaking every time it rains. We may have to do just a repair to one part of our consciousness, right? Of our story, right? So that's essentially what we're doing. So if there's something that you want to share, like, hey, I'm feeling like this, but I want to do this. That's essentially what we're doing.
I think one area of my life where I would love to be better at. So I consider myself being consistent because I post on social media. But when it comes to business, a lot of times I don't do business, what I would say, I don't make the necessary choices that would do something that I can. The term is not just busy work, but I want to be able to do work that moves the needle in my business. So a lot of times I have you can consider it limiting beliefs when it comes to, okay, I shouldn't post about this, or I shouldn't do this necessary research because it'll take X amount of time and I need something at the very moment. And something I fight with all the time is that the timing. When I limit myself when it comes to the room of how much time it may require to accomplish a certain goal or task. And I give myself, okay, if I don't get it done by Tuesday, I do it whenever. And I miss the goal. I miss the deadline because I say, you know what, I have a deadline, but even if I don't hit that deadline, being consistent and working at that one thing over time, I know eventually will get me there. And a lot of times I miss the goal because I say, okay, I give myself till Wednesday. And then I find out that here it is on Monday or Tuesday, I haven't done the work required to lead me up to that point in order to be a success. So the days of from Monday, Tuesday, I've been doing a certain amount of work. Monday, I missed out. So Tuesday, here it is. I'm only doing partial work. And I'm like, I may get discouraged and say, well, since I didn't do the work Monday, let me scratch this whole goal for that at the very moment. So what else would I would do? I mean, that's a lot of times that's where I get stuck at. I do the other work. I do some of the busy work to say that I'm doing something, but nothing that really moves the needle. Like something where I know what David Shannon's always say, yo, go X for the money. So the other day, when for my first time, I actually reached out to 40 people, which I'd never done before. I reached out to 40 people in DMs, etc., asking for the money. Saying, check my brand out, look at my brand, because it was something different. Veto gave me a bunch of things all the time to help me out, to move the needle with the just in my brand in general. She gave me a whole bunch of analytics of so many things to help me move further along. And one of the things I should get discouraged at for myself, what I noticed over time, she give me a bunch of things. I start completing the task, and then I won't complete it all the way through, and then I get discouraged of why my money not coming in, or why I'm not getting a certain amount of feedback, or people saying that, yo, I like your brand, I want to be interested in your brand, because I know I got a good brand. I know that I stand on it because I put 30 years of me into the brand because it represents me. But overall, there's so many things in business that I want to get accomplished that I know I get discouraged along the way because of not completing the task of saying and having my belief system limited because I didn't do one thing one other day. So along the way, I need something to help me like push through in those senses. I know I got confidence in myself. I know that I can complete it, but I think I shut myself off from completing the full task because I put a deadline. And if I don't meet that deadline, then I kind of like scratch the project.
Okay, so we cannot complain about the warden in our own self-imposed prison. We cannot complain about the warden in our own self-imposed prison. So that's number one.
Okay.
A lot of when you set a deadline and you don't make it, you set the deadline, you didn't make it, and you decided the outcome of how you felt about that. So you were the judge, the jury, and the execution.
Absolutely.
How are you going to get away from you?
Can't.
So then if you can't get away from you, you're in jail and you can't get out. Well, it's going to be hard to run a business from behind bars. From behind the bars of your mind, this self-imposed prison that you are literally putting yourself in because you decided a deadline, you didn't get it for some reason, and now all of a sudden you doing life. You doing life probably 2 or 3 different times a week, right? Over not executing something you decided. So number one, right? Don't complain about the warden in your own self-imposed prison. It means, number one, stop imprisoning yourself. Stop doing that. You can't win if you don't have you. You don't have no business you doing in jail. You don't have one. You don't even have your own time. You don't have your own shoes. You don't even get to eat your own food. You don't get to do anything in jail of your own will and freedom, right? So the jail of your mind that you're imposing on yourself by saying, oh, I didn't do this right. I didn't do this perfect. I didn't do this in time. I didn't do this. How can you be free and in jail? You can only do one or the other. True. So number one, stay free. It means talk to yourself the way you'd encourage anyone you loved. If you had an 8-year-old son and he was trying to build a business, would you let him say the same things you saying? Would you? Not at all. Not at all. So essentially, you would have more love for him not to do it than you have for yourself. So therefore, you do it. Do you see what I mean? So that's number one. Love yourself and realize, man, you're just as amazing as in this example of what your 8-year-old son is. And that if you would give him a second chance, or if you would say, hey, no, okay, this is maybe how you can do it better. You would give him encouragement. You would give him support. You would say, man, don't quit. Why are you so hard on yourself, man? You're doing great. Say the same thing to yourself. It is just a start. It will allow you to, I always tell my daughter, keep your mind on. What happens is when a 5-year-old's playing with a ball and the ball drops and goes out in the street, they out there running. Boom, you get hit. Right? When something happens, everybody starts running and you end up running right to where the bullets are coming from. Right? A lot of times when something first happens, if we can just stay there for a second and keep our composure, we realize a good idea will come. The right way out or in will come. But a lot of times things happen and we panic. So quickly we just say, oh, it's over. Oh, I chased the ball and I got hit. Oh, I'm running right into the gun. Oh, I'm right, because we're just we're so reactive, right? We have to slow down, number one, and just pause, just take a breath for a second. That's number one. Number two, limiting beliefs. I have my own version of that. And I'm not saying this is right and everybody else should take it, but this is mine. To me, I don't think there's such thing as limiting beliefs. What I think about limiting beliefs is that every belief has a limit. Every belief has a limit. It doesn't matter what belief you take, so to speak, it has a limit. So when you say limiting belief, it just means what that means is you took a belief that doesn't allow you to do what you want to do with it. It doesn't allow you to be what you want to be, go where you want to go. So if I have a limiting belief, if my belief is there's not enough money ever, there's never enough money, that's not a limiting belief. It's a belief that only has an end that I want to go past. That belief has an end, and the end is, it's like in that square, it's like if you want to go to, I don't know, where are you? You're in Jersey. Where are you in?
New York.
You're in New York. Okay, I'm in California. If I walk out right now and I say, man, I have a limiting belief. I want to go to the Statue of Liberty and I want to drive over there right now. I want to be there in 30 minutes. Is that a limiting belief? Well, no. My belief has a limit. It means my belief that something I want to do doesn't exist here. It doesn't exist in this belief. I can't take this belief and get off. I can't take this belief and be what I want to be. I have to go to New York. I have to go to where the belief is. It means I have to pick a different state. You have to pick a different state of mind in order to express the things you want to express. What you want to express doesn't exist in the state of mind you're in. It's not a limiting belief. It's the beliefs you have are limiting you because you have beliefs. They just don't allow you to get off the way you want to get off because they're not big enough. And you want to be bigger than the ones you have.
That's
right. Right. So what you do is, now, how do we know? You said, listen to the story you say. I don't make necessary choices. I don't complete tasks all the way through. I don't move the needle. My timing is not all the way right. I get discouraged along the way. These are a state. This is California, and you want to go to the Statue of Liberty. It doesn't matter how hard you grind. It doesn't matter how many Instagram posts you do, how many 40 people you call. You could have called 40 people. You could have 40 acres and a mule. You could have a 40 ounce. You could have as many E40s. You could have as many 40s as you like. They don't exist here. What you want to do in this state, reach the Statue of Liberty. If this is not the business that these thoughts, this state of mind does not possess the business that you want. So in this case now, we have to change this. We have to say, we got to move. These ain't going to work. There's too many of them. They're not going to work, right? So how can we change this? Let's do this one. I don't make necessary choices. What can you say instead?
I make necessary choices.
I always make necessary choices. I always do the right thing. I always know everything I need to know and what to do about it. Can you see the difference?
Definitely.
Yeah, when you're walking around saying that to yourself all day and that start kicking in, yeah, you'll be out there walking on water then. You'll be out there turning water into wine then. You'll be thinking like, man, I even called 10 people, but I got 20 people calling me. Man, I'm always in the right place at the right time. Man, my timing is impeccable. Do you see what I'm saying? You change. Yep. Now you're changing. Now you're going from California to New York where the Statue of Liberty is. Now it ain't that hard. Where you are, you can be like, all right, but it's going to take you however many minutes. It's going to take me days to get there because I'm so far away from the thing. My state doesn't allow me. It doesn't exist here. So some things you just got to leave, right? So you say, okay, so I always make necessary choices. You say, I don't complete tasks all the way through. What can you say instead?
I always complete tasks and seek it through.
Seek it through. And it's easy work. It's easy work. Like I always do everything easy. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. Everything I set my hand to prospers. I always complete my tasks all the way through. Man, it's effortless and easy. Man, I'm always making it. It's always easy work. That is a belief, just like that's a belief, right? The one we're talking about is new. It's a new introduction, like you're meeting a new person. It feels weird. You don't know them yet. But the more you spend time with them, they become your best friend, right? Like in elementary school, everybody's new, right? In kindergarten, everybody's crying when their parents leave. They're like, I don't know none of you. The only people I know are leaving, right? So beside literally our parents and family, everyone who's not that is somebody we met along the way. So this idea, just like that new friend, is somebody that we're meeting along the way, but they can be just as close to us as a brother or a sister when we have a best friend, when we have a partner or a homie like that. They're new too. These ideas that we're talking about now that you're going to change are new. But if you stick with them, if you keep hanging out with them, chilling with them, kicking it with them, they will become your best friend. And these will be people that you used to know that you'd be like, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, we can't really, yeah. Hey, man, it's good to see you though, right? You know, that's where it'll be, right? So last one, you said, I don't move the needle. Well, we'll give two more. I don't move the needle. What is it now?
I always move the needle.
Oh, everything I do moves the needle. Everything I am the needle and the holder of the needle. Huh, what you mean? I'm about to get all this in, right? I'm going straight to the vein. Everybody's going in. I'm going into everybody. Everybody's gonna have me walking around. Whatever business you have, everybody's gonna be in it, on it, loving it, referring it, talking about it, talking to it, calling you. You are the needle. You are the needle ain't alive unless you move it. You are the needle, right? I get discouraged along the way. What you gonna say?
I'm always confident and I can achieve anything.
And I do achieve anything, right? I have the victory in all things.
So victory in all
Everything,
things.
I have the victory in all things. Man, I'm always thinking right. I always have the best ideas. I always have the best concepts. I always know how to, my business is always successful. Man, I'm always winning, right? I always have more people than I can handle. I always have more success than I can even express. Like I'm just out here winning, right? And so what I'm saying to you is sit down now when you get off or some point today and write your story like it's a new friend. It may feel weird at the beginning. It may feel, but literally write your story. This is how my business goes now. Whether it's how you do it, what hours you work, how much money you make, how many customers you have, what type of relationships with your customers you have, whatever you can think of today. You write your own story. You write your own story. You don't be an extra in your own movie. Don't be sitting around wondering if people care, wondering if you matter, wondering if you have a say, and it's your life, right? You are the writer, the producer, the director, and you are the actor. So your mind is the writer, the producer, the director. Your body is the actor. Your money is your compensation for your acting. Right? So you want to change where everything changes. I'm going to change I'm going to change the script. I'm going to change the lighting. I'm going to change the creative part of the process. Then the actor comes in and acts the script with the lighting. It looks like that. It sounds like that. And then you win it. So does that make sense to you?
Yeah, definitely.
Change it all. Change it realize that you are the power. You are taking a vow. You are now vowing that this is who you are. And every day you talk to yourself that way through the day. When you wake up, don't let your big toe hit the ground before you know who you are, before you have made a decision on who you are. Don't get up out the bed and start walking. Where are you going? With what kind of mind? Then you stub your toe on the shower and then you're mad. You're not in your right mind. Everybody getting up to wake up and run and doing nothing. With what? Right? So every day before your big toe hits that ground, you order your day. You say, this is who I am, and this is how it's going. And throughout the day, remind yourself here and there every time it comes up. Oh man, my business is always winning. I always got more clients than I can handle. Everybody loves what I got to do. Everybody loves to pay me. My phone is ringing off the hook. I need to get an assistant. You telling yourself something anyway. Why don't you make it something you want? If you got to live, why don't you live where you want? Because I tell you what, you come out to California, your life is going to be a whole lot different and a whole lot more costly with a whole lot more. It ain't going to be the same life. So you want to live where you want to live. So live in a state of mind that you want to live in, right?
Yep.
And then that's how you do it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Who's next? What we got?
Thank you, Johnny.
No worries. No worries.
Do we have any others?
Any other victims? Volunteers. People who would like. So essentially, this is what we have to understand. And that's why I always try to use the board, even though I don't know, you guys probably can't see it all that well or that detail, but I use the board because I even if you can see a little bit of it, I try to put out what's in so that everyone can see what I'm saying or see what they're saying. They can see, they're like, oh wow, I never looked at it that way. I never saw it that way, right? There's so many things that we're thinking, we don't even realize it's even different when it comes out. It's even different when you put it out on paper or out in front of you, right? And when we're able to do that, we're able to say, oh, okay, I can make that adjustment now. I can see where I went off a little bit. This doesn't have to be that hard. This doesn't have to be that crazy. All the desires are yours, right? All they're yours. And where the same place the desire came from is the same place the power is there. The power is coming from within you, right? All the power is yours. That's why even in the wisdom book, in the Bible, the central character, the most powerful character, Jesus said, I and my Father are one. Right? The character, Jesus, the character that all of us are, all of our names, that's the same as Jesus. The Father that he's referring to is consciousness. So our physical character is one with our consciousness. So in consciousness, if we can't have multiple businesses, if we have to wait for years, we don't need to wait 2 years physically, but we will wait physically until mentally we give permission. If your child comes home in the 3rd grade and says, I want to go to the museum, and they come home with a permission slip. And if the parents don't sign that, guess what? The body, the child, gotta wait. The business gotta wait. Whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. So you give permission in your mind now. You don't have to wait to be successful. Success starts in the mind, and whenever you start it in your mind, it will start to appear in your life. So make that now. Make your success now. I have multiple businesses, and all of them are cracking. All of them are successful, right? I enjoy all of them, and I'm doing them all. And I'm doing them well, and I'm happy. You know, I'm happily and blissfully retired. I remember when I used to work for the government. I remember that. Man, it was a great time. It was good, but I decided I just want to do something else. You're telling yourself a story. You can tell yourself that when you're driving in the car by yourself, right? It's your dream. You know who you're talking to and what you're talking about. It don't have to make sense to anyone but you. But if it makes sense, it'll make dollars. If it makes sense, you'll be free, right? And the reason a lot of us are feeling discontent, not necessarily misery or anything super crazy, but even just discontent, is because we have a disagreement. The outer and the inner are not agreeing. Hey man, we could be doing this. Man, you know what? I'm 50. I can't really be doing all that right now. I'm too old. Oh, you know, my health ain't right. It's like, well, who are you talking to? Who are you arguing with? Like we have the best arguments with ourselves. The most disagreements with ourselves, right? Like if you look at it, like we are the worst people to ourselves. But we get an attitude when somebody else did or doesn't. Right? We don't believe in ourselves, but if somebody else tells you can't do that, you need to wait for 2 years, you'd be mad. Oh, I got a good idea. Well, you know, you'd be mad, right? But we sell it to ourselves like it's some kind of keeping it real, like it's some kind of humility or meekness. And it's not. It's just misery. That's it. Just discontent, right? So these are just things that we have to understand. That wherever that dream, that desire comes from, that comes from within you, you have all the ways and means to make it happen just by agreeing with and say, okay, let there be. Let there be. I'm in agreement. And literally just by remaining in agreement in your mind, by saying, I am now this, or I have this, I'm doing this now. By literally doing that, you will now get the help that comes to make that. It wasn't your so-called conscious idea in the first place. The idea came to you, right? So wherever it came from is the same power, which is what people call God, that wherever it came from is where the power to go with it is. Where you're guided, you're provided. Guidance comes with provision. It comes with all the necessary resources, but you'll never experience those resources if you don't agree. If you're not willing to say, I am this, I have this, I'm doing this now. If it's, I'll wait for a couple or I'll wait until, then you'll be in waiting. You're in a state of waiting. I'm in the state of California. Johnny's in the state of New York. My brother's in the state of Philadelphia. Everybody may be in different states, but wherever state we're in, that's where we're living. So if we're in the state of waiting, that's where we're living. If the waiting is 2 years, 2 weeks, 2 days, that's where we're living. So then we can't look around like, I can't believe I'm in New York. Where you were? You just told me you were there. It's the same thing. If you're in the state of waiting, then don't be mad that nothing's done, that everything is still the same, right? We have to be willing to move to the state of I am. I am this now. And when you're willing to do that and be faithful to it, when you want to say, I am this, I have this, I'm doing this, whatever your desire is, and you make that first person present tense. In the book, God's name is I am. It's not God. I am. That's first person present tense. That's you right now. And if you are willing to say, me right now takes a vow to be, I am this. That is how you become, by first being. You have to be before you become. By saying, I am this, by feeling yourself and believing yourself to be this, or having this, or doing this, whatever that is, whatever the thing is. That is how you become. The idea always starts before the physical. The idea is there. Take it, take hold of it, right? Live it. This is where, this is your mission. You came here to do things, right? And you can tell if you're doing that by the way you feel about your day. How does your day feel? Do you feel the way you want to feel through your day? Is when you go to sleep at night, did you have the day you wanted? Did you do the things you wanted? Did you get to spend time with the people you wanted? Are all those things happening? If not, that just means we have to course correct a little bit. Some people, maybe a lot of it. But all of us, is like driving a car. Just because you put your hand on the wheel don't mean it can stay in the same spot. There's constant little corrections to keep the wheel straight, right? It's constant little corrections. So if you fall asleep, it's going to be a big correction, right? If if you're not paying attention at all, it may be a huge course correction. But most of us are paying attention enough, right? But not adjusting, not course correcting. Before we know it, we done veered, and somebody's honking, right? So everything isn't just 0 to 100. There's things that go through, right? So we want to constantly course correct. Just keeping our hand on the wheel, just readjusting our hands to keep us moving straight forward. Right? Okay, anybody have anything that they want to?
Hey, this is Gerardo. Question, Coach Lucky, I got a question for you. I don't know if I asked this question. When did the desire and the passion for mind reset start for you?
Okay, man, sorry, I didn't know you couldn't hear me.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so let me start over. So for me, I would say it was about 5 or 6 years ago personally. I've been using it to help other people that I was working with, primarily athletes at the time, probably about 15 years ago. So I've been using it for a while, but it really wasn't on me as much. I was probably using more motivational speaking. I was probably using more different forms of things, but so it pumped me and it motivated me up, it energized me, and like that does, but it didn't necessarily change what I moved, how I moved permanently, because it didn't necessarily it motivated me to try harder, but it didn't necessarily inspire me to think different. So I would say my own personal journey for myself was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, when I just realized one day, like, man, I think I'm a pretty good person, but my life sucks. Like I just felt like I was not as fulfilled or satisfied as I wanted to be, or as I thought I should be. Consider that I had a good job, I had a decent, a solid car, I had, I had a lot of the things that the world, I just say, tells you should have, and you'll be happy as a result. But I just thought, man, there's got to be more to this than just this. And so I realized that there's got to be more to it. So I said, well, let me see what I can find. I didn't know what the truth was or what I would find, but I knew that what I had wasn't sufficient. I knew that I couldn't say my life sucks, this is what I'm going to do. I didn't know what else to do. I felt like I did everything that I thought you should do, and I still didn't feel the sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. So I started off on this journey of finding out whatever the truth was. I went on it looking for it. And so I've come to all these things with so many people that I've learned from, whether it's Rev Ike or Neville Goddard, Dr. Joseph Murphy, Louise Hay. Like there's so many different people who talk about thinking and how to organize your mind and how to learn how to think. And so it was about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's just because I've learned so many things, I'm still learning. It's constant. It's a lifestyle. I tell people all the time, man, this is not a sermon. This is not a seminar. This isn't a service. This is not something you come to once a week and think you're going to get off and that's it. This is a lifestyle. You have to learn. We are learning how to think every day in every way. So it affects every area of our life, all of our decisions all the time. So we're always winning. We're always healthy. We're always successful. We're always whatever, right? So, and a lot of times because it's the mind and people can't see it, people don't account for it, don't respect it, don't understand it, don't know how to use it properly, and don't really respect it. And so as a result, they think they can go to a little motivational seminar for 2 hours and think their life is going to be different. But they do something for 2 hours a day, 1 hour, one day a week, and you're spending 2 hours out of 24. And then the other rest of the week, you're not doing anything with it constructively or productively. And then they wonder why they can't change their life, right? So, if we did anything 1 day a week, hardly, what would we be good at? If our kids went to school 1 day a week, if we bathed 1 day a week, if we ate 1 day a week, if we brushed our teeth 1 day a week, then we'd be a hot mess. But we don't realize that with our mind, we're doing it at most 1 day a week. Most people, whether it's going to church, whether it's going to all these different things, but people only do it. They don't really focus on their mind, so they don't realize their mind is controlling their life. They don't realize that because we use the physical to judge everything, but we don't realize what's in control of the physical. So anyway, that's probably a long answer to a short question. I would say about 5 or 6 years ago, I really started focusing on it or looking for something that would help me live better. And this is what I found. And I love it so much because it's not racist. It's not sexist. You don't need to be rich. You don't have to be in a certain part of the country. You don't have to have a certain outfit. You don't have to be converted to something. You don't have to do that. You can literally come as you are, so to speak. And you can start where you are. And then you can start, like a dirt lot. You can build with that lot. You can build with the life you have and the body you have. You can start where you are by building the foundation, and then by just like you would with any building. So that's why I like it so much, because it's not personal, it's not religious to the point that people are scared or mad or messed up and stuff like that. So that's why I love it so much. That's why I apply it to every area of my life, because you can, and there's no days off. I don't take any days off, not because this is work, but I don't take any days off because what day is there? What's a good day to get cancer? What's a good day to die? What's a good day to be broke? What's a good day to be sick? What's a good day to have anything we don't want to have? Right? So every day it's a lifestyle, not in fear, but in wisdom. You learn that if you keep control of your mind, it's like keeping control of the pen. You're the writer, right? So that's what I would say. All right. Who else? What else we got? Hopefully today is, people have a better understanding of really thinking about what you're thinking about, right? Really think about what you're saying to yourself. Think about, because that's what you're vowing, that you have to understand who you are to understand how valuable your words are and things like that, right? So think about what you're saying to yourself. Look at every area of your life and read the story that's been written or that you're writing, right? And really think about when you read that, when you look at that, when you reflect on that, is that really what you want? And if not, change it. Get a new pen and pad out, get a new thought out, right? And rewrite it, revise it, remodel it. If it's no good at all, throw it out. Don't keep what you shouldn't keep, right? A lot of us are spending too much time trying to get over things and trying to get through things instead of getting out. Some things are just better to leave behind or just get out. We spend all of our energy trying to get through things and get over things. Oh, just get through it. Just get past it. Just get over it. It's like, man, why don't I just get out? Why don't I just get out of this car? Why don't I just get out of this state? Why don't I just get out of this? Why don't I just get out? Some things are better just to be left as they are because that's what they're designed to be. That's what I mean by I don't necessarily feel like limiting beliefs. I don't feel that way about it the way most people say it. I believe that every belief has a limit. That whatever belief you have has a limit. And it's only a bad one when you want something more than what it has to offer. Right? Almost like a car. You know, when we were 17 and we got our first car, for most of us, it wasn't super fancy, but boy, you couldn't tell us nothing because we were out. We were out there in the street, boy, with our homies, our homegirls, we were out there just getting it. And a car that if we look back at now, we'd be like, man, what was I doing? Right? There's all kind of stuff. But the point is that didn't limit us because we were like, man, we're free. But you know, our parents didn't drive that car because they would feel limited. The car is the same. But depending on the person, one person feels free because now they have this car. Another person looking at it would be like, they feel limited. Like, I don't want to drive that. But a 17-year-old will drive anything as long as they can get access to it. Right? We used to drive my mom's minivan, and one of us, I'll blame Marcus, because I don't think he's here. I'll blame Marcus. He broke the rear view mirror, and we're driving my mom's minivan. And yeah, that was him. Marcus broke the rear view mirror. And if it was me, I won't admit it. I blame him because he can't defend himself. And he broke the rear view mirror. But boy, we hopped in that minivan like it was a Corvette. Boy, you couldn't tell nothing or no, didn't matter. Right? But now, we don't want to drive no minivan now. But at 17, it was cracking. Had the homies in there, boy. We had the factory speakers blowing them out, in a minivan, rolling down the street, right? At 17, man, you winning. At 47, you may not feel the same way about, driving your mom's minivan, right? So, but it's the same car, is the point. It's the same car. So that the car is like a belief. For some people, it opens their world up. For others, it collapses it, right? So every belief has a limit. Choose your beliefs wisely because you have to live in them and you have to live by them unless you change them. As long as you have the ones you have, you're going to live in the state that you're in, right? As long as you're in New York, and you live there, that's all you have. That's all you have to eat from, live from. That's where your water's coming from. That's where everything is. If you don't like it, move somewhere else. But you're moving somewhere else because it has something that New York doesn't have to offer. Whatever that may be. That's why we move. Because where we are doesn't have it to offer. And that's a belief. A belief is just like a state in that sense. Don't keep a belief just like you wouldn't stay in a state that doesn't have what you want. To some people, it's enough or more than enough. To some of us, it's not enough. So it's not a limiting belief. It's just a belief that has a limit. So choose the beliefs that a lot like a shoe that allows you to have a little room in the front that you can grow into. Right? That is what this is about. Right? That is what this is about. Right? Who else? Anybody have anything else? Because I can keep going, but is there anything else that somebody wants to bring up or talk about, ask? Because I want to make sure that we really, make the most of our time, and I want to make sure that you can leave here today and look at every area of your life and consciously rewrite your story. You don't have to. You don't have to believe it. As long as it's your desire, you don't have to believe it. Just like a 5-year-old doesn't know 2 times 2 is 4. They don't believe that. They may believe you, they don't believe it, but they say it over and over and over, and it becomes a belief. It becomes a part of them, a part of their life that they can actually use. Right? So your desire does not have to be something that you believe in the sense of like, oh, I just know that's true. No, you just know what it is. As long as you know what it is, it can become true. Meaning true to you, meaning in your physical world. It's already true. That's why you can describe it. That's why you can, and everything else.
Ray has something. Go ahead, Ray.
Yes.
Hey, Divine Rising.
Hi.
Okay, so I have this story that I have to work hard for money.
Okay.
And I'm stepping into a space of investing, and I'm looking to bring in the ease, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have to work so hard to make, like, I'm ready to change that belief within myself. So that's one thing I'm working on right now. So yeah.
That's awesome. So, like I said, no matter what it is, the answer and the process is the same. The answer is whatever your desired outcome is. The process to get there is the same. But what you're doing may be different. What you're doing it for may be different. So if you want to be an investor, right, then what is your story? What type of investor are you?
Recently I have been getting into the crypto investing, not necessarily trading, but liquidity pools and staking cryptocurrencies.
Okay, no, that's what you're doing. What type of investor are you? How is your experience going?
Okay.
How is your
I don't know what you mean by that.
So I'm like, if you would describe yourself as you're an investor, okay, and you invest in crypto and just certain things like that. Okay, cool. That's what you're doing. Now, what is your relationship to it? How is you are doing this? So as a result of you doing that, what's the outcome?
The outcome is to create passive income to where it can supplement my living expenses.
Okay. So how would you put that in a story? How would you make that your story?
In the I am form that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
I am an inside investor that lives purely off of passive income.
That's it. That's your answer. So it's a new friend now. You're in kindergarten. It's a new friend. You're starting from the bottom. It's a new thought in your mind. It's a new friend. Every day you spend time with that friend. It goes from a stranger to your best friend, right? Whoever your best friend was a stranger at first. So, assuming it's not your sister or your brother or something, right? But just like somebody you didn't know. And so they became a bigger role or part of your life the more time you spent with that. You started calling them something different. It went from, oh, that's my best friend. Oh, who's so-and-so? You wouldn't say that Cheryl. You would say, oh, that's my best friend, or my best friend Cheryl. You may have met her as Cheryl, but you start adding things to her. You start adding the way you talk about her because she plays a bigger, more prominent role in your life. What you just said was, okay, say it one more time. Say it again. You are now what?
I am an inside investor.
Okay.
That lives purely off of passive income.
So that's who you are now. You are literally just what you said. It is absolutely possible if you're willing to believe it. It's possible. Why? Because you could talk about it, you could conceive it. That's where creation is in the mind. It's expressed in the body. It's in the mind. The body doesn't create anything. There ain't enough clicking you can do, clacking you can do. There ain't enough reading you can do. That's not how it works. Everything is based on what you are believing yourself to be. When you say, I am an inside investor, and everything you just said, if you don't have to write it down, but I'm just saying, if you're willing to write it down, if you are willing to look at it every day, if you're willing to say it to yourself over and over and over, you're not trying to force anything. You're just introducing yourself to your best friend. You're introducing yourself to a new concept, to a stranger, to something that you haven't always known or had. But that if you spend enough time with it, will become your best friend, will become a prominent, premier person in your life that you will know like the back of your hand. Right? You will know everything about her. She'll know everything. You will literally be this person. And here's where the thing is that if you made $100 million, right? If you made $100 million, from crypto and everything you said, would you have any problem making the above statement, making the statement you just said?
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Right. Yeah. Let's do it.
So now we're talking about, this is why we're here.
Mhm.
The person who made 100 million thinks like that person. They don't, when you think like that person, it doesn't mean you're like, oh, I'm going to create 100 million. It's not so much that. It's that your version of success or your version of your desired outcome is reflected in 100 million. What some people call success, they're just like, I'm enough money to live on. Some people are like, oh, I gotta go everywhere, private jets. Some people are like, oh, if I could just get my own this or that or the other, right? Everybody's definition of success is different. But the only way they reach it, everything you're experiencing physically, is first because of the mental. What's happening is that because you haven't made 100 million yet, you're not willing to say that you haven't been willing to say that you're an inside investor, so on and so on and so on. What I'm telling you is, in order to make that 100 million, or whatever that 100 million is for you maybe 50, maybe 25, whatever else it is, whatever it is for you, you have to first say, this is what I am. You have to first define yourself as that. It is your self-concept that determines all your ideas. So when you say, this is what I am, that's all you have to do. The more you become that in your mind, the more you express that in your life. The more all of your physical world it's almost like your reticular activation system. When you have a thought, right? And you're like, oh, I want a red Porsche. After a while, you start seeing red Porsches everywhere. But they've been there. But you never saw them that way or saw them at all because they were not relevant in your life. Right? Once something becomes relevant in your life, you start to see it everywhere. So when inside investor who makes passive income and you're out here killing it with your feet up on the beach, then what happens is you start to see a whole lot more beaches. You start to actually start killing it. You actually, whatever that version is to you, whatever that means to you, but you get the outcome based on your mind first. So you have to be willing to say, this is what I am now. Right? And when you condition that over and over and over and over in your mind, you go to sleep feeling that you're one of those. How would you feel if you were an inside investor? Let me ask you, if you were the investor you wanted to be, how would you feel?
Oh, excellent.
If you were then, okay, excellent. So, and if you were the investor you wanted to be, tell me one thing you would buy.
My island.
Okay. If you were the investor you wanted to be, whose life could you affect besides your own?
Many lives. On that island, it would be a retreat center for people to come and go through healing retreats and all types of like restoration and relaxation space for people to just rejuvenate themselves.
Okay.
So many millions,
okay.
Thousands, hundreds of thousands.
Okay. And so then how could you describe that thing if it were not real?
How could I describe it if it were not real? It is real because I just created it, right?
So if it's real, then what are you then? And I understand, I'm using this loosely. Then what are you struggling with? I understand it's a trick question. What are you struggling with? If it's real, then what are you struggling with? What we're struggling with is the belief that it is, because we don't see it with our physical hands. But we don't understand that anything with our physical hand is the end. It's the outcome of the thought and the belief. It's not the creator of the thought and the belief. Right? When a baby is crying, it's crying because it can't do for it what it's crying about. Right? It needs the parent or someone who's older to do. The belief is almost like the baby. The baby has our desire, like we are like the baby. We have something, and so we're trying to be something, but the parent is our desire. And if we would come together with it, it would take care of us. It's real. Your desire, what you described, is real. What your island is real. What you're doing is real. What you would do there is real. If you are willing to call yourself that, you will literally become that. But you have to be it before you become it. So how do you be it? Right? Like any relationship, time. Every day you're talking to yourself. All the time you're talking to yourself. You're just enjoying, you're imagining in your mind the feelings that you feel. You can see your island. Go to sleep with that island in your mind. Go to sleep saying, I'm her. No, I'm it like that. I'm like that. No, like every time I invest, I'm out here. Like people are calling me, asking me to teach them to invest. People are, I just hired a new secretary for my island to answer when people are calling for the retreat calls. Literally, this is a story. We go to the movies and we know it's fake, and people still be in there crying, screaming, yelling, don't they? Right?
Yeah.
And we know it's fake before we go in. But why? But look at the environment they've created. They make it dark. They neutralize you from all other thought, all other outside environment. They don't let you look around. The screen is huge. It makes sure you look at it. You can't see nothing but the screen, right? They neutralize your conscious mind from any distraction. And that is what you have to do. And that's not hard to do. It just means you go within yourself and you play that idea in your mind over and over and over. And the feelings you feel with it, of being the investor you want to be, of having your own island, of people calling the island like, can I get a thing? Or if you taking your family, can I get a reservation? Of you doing whatever else it is. That's real. That is a real thing that you have, right? It's not fake. It's real. That is reality, right? So you go to sleep with that thought every night. You wake up with that thought every night, calling yourself that I am this. I am this. This is what I have. This is what I am. This is what I'm doing. And you do it over and over and over. And you're building the relationship. And it will express itself in your life in ways you can't even imagine. With people who will help you. With all these different things that will come into your world because of who you are now. Right? It's just the assumption. We have to be willing to make the assumption. We have to realize that our mind is reality. Our physical world is not reality. It's changeable. It's malleable. Creation starts in the mind. That's where reality is. Because every physical thing started with first a thought. So if a physical thing, the iPhone is real, it started with an idea. So how can the phone be more real than the idea? That's like the baby being more real than the parent. Right? That idea is reality. That thought in your mind, your concept, that's reality. Make it your reality. Become one with that reality. Assume yourself to be that. Assume yourself to have that and talk to yourself all the time. Feel the joy of it. Go to sleep with it. Wake up with it. Walk around during the day with it. And you'll see. You will see it pop up and you won't be able to believe it. And then I want a free reservation I want a 2-week stay, all expenses paid for me because you're rich and you got your own island.
Both of y'all can come. Y'all are invited.
All right. Did that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Every day.
Thank you.
Be faithful to it. In any relationship, that's the primary tenet, faithfulness. Be faithful to your idea. It's a relationship that you and your higher self have. Your desire is saying, I'm ready. Let's do it. And as long as you remain faithful to it, like any relationship, remain faithful to it, you will literally express it. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, my honor and pleasure. Our honor and pleasure. So a couple things before we go. Next week is going to be a longer session. We're going to go from 6 to 9 here. So that's what, 9 to 12 your time. It's going to be a 3-hour session. I'm going to do something that I do with people that I work with, which I'll get to in a second, with people that I coach and work with, that I'm going to do with you guys, because I want you all to, we're going to kind of turn it up a little bit. We're going to become scholars next week. And it's going to take 3 hours to do it. That means you need to get wherever you can, as quiet as you can. You know, we all have life. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're in the car. I don't care if you at the gas station. Be wherever you have to be and wherever you can. But as for this 3-hour session next Saturday, it's going to start at 6 o'clock my time, which is 9 o'clock your time. It's going to start at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. It's going to be 3 hours, and I need the time. We're going to turn it up next week. You'll see. Next week we're going to turn it all the way up. So, but I want you guys to understand something a little bit differently than has been explained to you, so that you have a better understanding of yourself and how to really get off the way you want to get off, right? So we kind of just been taking this in steps. So it's going to start next week at 6 a.m. Pacific. You know, hide your kids, hide your wife, tell everybody. Everybody's welcome, whatever. But it's going to start 6 to 9 East Coast time, 9 to 12 East Coast time. Yeah, 9 to 12 East Coast time. You know what I said. But it's going to be 3 hours. and it's gonna, but bring a pencil, pen, marker, whatever you need to do, somewhere as quiet as you can, so you can really listen and hear. And I'm gonna show you some things and stuff like that. But we're gonna take it up next week, B, right? And it's gonna be real next week, right? And when you walk out of there, you'll see a lot of things differently. We're really gonna, hit the gas. That's one. Number two, I have people, I've had people reaching out to me to work with them here. Like I do other places. I really haven't talked about that much here, because this the way this whole conversation started with my brother and him saying, "Oh, I want to." You can tell other people, and so we started this just trying to, we figured other people want to hear it, and so just gets bigger and bigger every weekend. So it's all good. So I've never talked about, like I said, I've had people reach out. I've never talked about it here, but on the website, what is it, the Mental.Academy?
The Mental.Academy.
Yeah. The Mental.Academy. If you want me to work with you, if you want me to coach you, if you want me to work with you, a lot of things I say here are general because, I'm talking to everyone as best I can. But if you want me to work with you specifically on your specific thing, you can reach out to me there. Basically, everything I do is customized. I really, if I do a class, it's customized for the class I'm doing it for. If I'm working with a person, it's customized for that person. So, there's not prices on there or anything like that because everything I do is custom, because everybody needs different things. I have people I text every day. I just send them a text every day. I have people I text and I'm like, okay, break this text down and give it back to me. What am I saying? What does that mean? I have emails that I work with people via email. I work with people on calls. I work with groups of people, but it's whoever's coming to me, I do whatever needs to be done for that particular person. Right. So if you want that coaching, you can look on the website, sign up for a consultation, and we can do that. There's an email, there's, phone, whatever else, and we can make that happen. I just never talked about it on here because that really wasn't how this started, but people have reached out to me to do it on here. And so I said, okay, well, let me just let everyone know so they know it's available. Right. So you can reach out to us on Mental.Academy and you can set up consultations or things if you want me to work with you specifically about whatever it is you want. Right.
Yeah, we also have the replays for Mindset Saturdays, and you guys can. So far, what we do, if you want to put it on your calendar, you can register. But if you guys already have signed up to get on our email list, I send out the email every Friday to get the link for the call.
So next week it will be 9 to 12 your time, 9 to 12 your time, and it's going to take 3 hours. So get your snacks, use bathroom, do what you got to do. But this is good. Most of them will not be like this once every blue moon, but this one it's time to get this one in. And this one will really help you. This is really going to turn your mind on, right? And you guys will really have a better understanding of some of the stories that we're writing, why we're writing them. And also you'll really feel more, I think you'll just feel more expectation and more empowered because you'll realize a lot of things about yourself that you don't currently know. Right. So anyway, it was a great time today. Thank you all for coming. It was wonderful. It's always great to see you all. Start next week at 6 and, we'll keep it moving.
Awesome. Thank you guys. See you next week.
See you guys next week.